Census Bureau claims 3.8 million renters will likely be evicted in the next 2 months. Why? The rental crisis keeps getting worse. Guys, I don't even know. Okay, so I read this article. This is crazy. This is just insane, okay? Look, check this out. Let me just read a little bit. For the first time ever, the median rent in the U.S. topped $2,000 a month in June, and the increase shows no sign of stopping. Okay, so guys, think about this, okay? Rent is going through the roof. Inflation is going through the roof, okay? Everything is expensive, right? And now the people basically, if you think about the community out there that rents, right? People that rent are in the process of most likely buying a house, okay? You have a very small group of people that just are renting because they love renting, okay? These are, I would say, I classify these types of people are like people that live like in the city, like New York City, San Francisco City. They know that when they live in these cities, these types of cities, they know that they're basically going to rent. The main reason is because the little one bedroom studio or studio apartment or a one bedroom could cost you $1 million, right? In these like high end cities. So a lot of people say, hey, I want to live in the city. I want to walk downstairs, get my coffee, take the subway to work or walk to work, whatever it is. They're making that sacrifice of not owning a home so they could have that experience of living in an amazing city. Okay, so with that said, I think the rest of the people that live like in regular cities, like in suburbs, and they're renting, I would say, this is just my guess, but I would say that most of them would love to own a house, right? Obviously, when it's the right time, when they have the right down payment, if it's the right house, all those have to factor in. But I guarantee you that nobody likes renting, because renting, in many ways, you're basically throwing your money away. Now, if you own a property, right? If you're renting from someone who owns maybe 2 properties, right, you're basically paying off their mortgage, right? They're sitting back in their house, right, paying their own mortgage, and they're renting you their second house, and you're paying their mortgage for them. So basically, they're generating revenue without doing nothing. Now, renting a house is very difficult, and it has a lot of problems. Now, yeah, you do own the land and stuff, but what's happening is, in times like this, you see why renting is sort of a problem, because if you own a house, if you own a second house and you have it rented out, and suddenly we have like a pandemic, and you are now in situations where like, hey, your renter got laid off, your renter might not be able to pay that rent. But the problem is you are like looking at the rest of the market, and I think in the pandemic, it was a little bit different. Now the situation is a little bit different, because people that are renting know that they can get higher rent, and people are falling behind on their rent. The people that are currently renting are falling behind on their rent, and they want to kick them out so they could bring new people to pay that high rent. So basically, we're having situations where possibly, someone who owns 2 houses, they own their house and they have the second house rented out. Now, they have it rented out to renters. Now, the renters, because of inflation, because everything is so crazy right now, they might fall behind on their rent, right? Now, you could see how the homeowner is sitting there saying, oh man, I got this renter over here who's not paying me the full rent right now because the economy is sort of crashing, and the rental market is at its highest peak ever. Like, you could see how the homeowner might say like, hey, let me kick out these renters that can't pay the rent, and let me bring in new people that are going to pay that high price. Now, let me tell you why you could see that makes sense, right? But here's the problem, guys, that when this statistic comes out and says that 3.8 million renters basically are not able to pay the rent, what that is telling us as a whole is that rent is too expensive, okay? And the problem is that we need new expectations on rent, and we need to lower it. And the problem is that the only way things lower as a whole is when they crash. For example, if you have a company and you were hiring employees, but because of the Great Resignation, you couldn't hire your employees at the same rate that you were hiring them in 2019. When it's when you have to hire them in for 25% more so they could come into work your factory or whatever kind of job you have. Well, guess what? You can't just lower them back to the original price. You literally have to fire them and hire somebody totally different, right? And that is a huge problem. And that's probably what's going to happen. And able to reset a lot of the things, basically the economy has to crash in many ways. And crashing means a lot of layoffs, right? Now, this really scares me when, we have a figure where it says, close to 4 million renters are basically on the, on the cliff, they're on the cusp of being evicted right now. That means, and this is like in the next 2 months or 1 month to 2 months. Can you imagine? Like, where are we going to be in January? I mean, is this number going to grow? So there's a lot of moving elements right now, and this is not looking good. Look, I'm going to have a link to this article down in the description below. And I highly suggest you guys kind of go and read all about this, because if you have a house right now and you're renting it, I'll give you an example. My father has a house and he has it rented. And he did not price his house at the top of the market. He has a really nice rental house, but he didn't price it. He priced it below, and he was really looking for the right type of renter. So, I think this is a good time, and I hate to say it, this is a good time for homeowners with second homes to have their second or third home rented out to really, make a good relationship with the renters, because we might go into an incredible crash, and we might not be able to get, homeowners might not be able to get what they think they're going to get. Basically, if you're renting a house to somebody right now, you might not want to be priced at the top of the market, because, I think what's more important is the quality of renters right now. You want to make sure if you are renting your house, you have a good quality renter, and you want to keep them, man. Retention right now. Remember, when you own a house and you have a house rented, that's like a business. You have a customer. The renter is essentially a customer, and a lot of people, remember, customer service is always wins. So you want to have good customer service. You want to make sure that the renter's happy, and that you as the owner of the house is also happy yourself, right? Because you still want to make some money, but they also need a place to live. So I think it's almost criminal what some of the rent is happening. If you hear about the Miami market, it's gone up 50%. Like in the last 2 years, that's almost criminal. I don't believe that people in that community, especially the people that rent, can afford a 50% increase. And that is just a sign that there's that a huge crash is coming. And you know what? When it hurts the smallest people in the community, everybody is going to suffer, right? And you know what? I hope the rents come down a lot. If anybody who did not buy a house in the last 2 years, they should be able to, rent back at the same levels of 2019 and probably still be okay. So hopefully, we could bring down the fire on that part of the market, and it will ease so much, because then people will probably have more money to spend in the economy, and the economy could kind of start building back again. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, and it's kind of scary, but yeah, I mean, it's the truth, right? It's really what's happening out there. Rent is just completely out of control. Now, I'm going to go ahead and finish this video. I just want to say thank you guys so much. You guys have been throwing huge numbers for my channel. Look at this. 2,000 views, almost 2,000, 1,000, 1,000. Guys, you guys are killing it out there, and I just want to say a huge thank you. You guys are leaving comments. You guys are liking my videos. It means so much to me. It's unbelievable. If you guys are new to my channel and you enjoy what I have to say, please don't forget to smash that subscribe button and go ahead and like and leave a comment. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video.